Hello everyone and welcome to Network Playroom. In today's video we're going to talk about Python lists. Now, as with the Python strings video, this is going to be a short introductory video, so we're not going to do anything advanced and complicated. So we'll discuss the theory a little bit and also look at some examples on the Python interpreter. Let's get started. Now, quite simply, if you want to store a bunch of values or group together values, you can use lists. Now, lists might contain items of different types, but usually all the items have the same type. To create a list, you assign the contents of the list to a variable inside square brackets and separate the items with commas. So let's look at an example right away. We'll pick something random like colors. So let's create a list called colors, and then let's add some colors to it. So let's say blue, pink, and purple. Now notice here that I've only used a string data type in this list. The items don't have to be the same data type as I just mentioned, but I've just decided to do so in this example. So we'll hit enter and then we'll verify the contents. So you can see that there are those three colors. So again, a list can contain any Python object such as integers, strings, and even other lists. A list can also be empty and is often initialized in an empty state for programs that pull data from other sources. Now, to initialize a list in an empty state, you just assign two square brackets with nothing in them, or you can use the built-in list function. So let's look at both methods. So for the sake of the example, I'm just going to use a simple letter as the name of the list. So first we'll assign an empty list, let's say A is equal, and then square brackets without anything in it. And the other way is to use the list method. So we can do B equals list, just like that. Now, if we verify what we have in there, you see that both are empty lists. Next, similar to strings, the items in a list are indexed and you can interact with them. So to pull out values, you just use the variable name with brackets and the index number, which starts at 0, just as with strings. So let's say we want the first item from our list. We can do colors, square bracket, 0, square bracket. So this is going to pull the first item, which is blue. Similarly, we can get the other items in the list by changing the index. So if we want to do colors at position 1 or index 1, we get pink, and the same with index 2. Now, unlike strings, lists are mutable objects, which means you can change parts of the list as you like. Now, with a string, you can't change parts of the string without creating a new string. But this is not the case with lists, where you have a number of ways to make changes. For example, if you have a misspelling, you can change just one item on the list, leaving the rest untouched. So let's look at an example. We can create another list, and we'll purposely include a misspelling that we're going to correct after that. So let's say shapes, and we'll say circle and triangle, which I'm gonna purposely misspell, triangle, and square. Oops. Okay. So we have those three items on our list now. And we want to correct the misspelling on the second item, which is in position 1. So we'll simply assign a new value to that. So we'll do shapes 1 is equal to triangle. So now if we look at the contents of that list again, you see that the item has changed and it is now spelled correctly. Next, you can concatenate lists as well by using the plus operator to join two lists together. The list items do not need to be unique. Python just connects the two together in a new list. So let's do that. We'll combine the colors and shapes lists into a new list called mix. So mix equals colors plus shapes. So now if we look at the content, it has all those items in one list. Now remember all the slicing and dicing we did with strings in the other video? Well, the same principles apply here, but instead of having a single character in a specific position as with strings, there are now whole elements at each index. And also an important note here, don't forget the rule about the second number after the colon, which means up to but not including. This is what I repeated in the other video so many times, but it is important to understand this concept. So let's say we want to pull the first 4 items in our list. How would we go about it? Well, we can do mix, then leave out the first part because we want from the start of the list, colon, and then 4. Now before I hit enter, let's think about what that's going to do. So it's going to start at position 0. So it's going to include blue, pink, which is in position 1, purple in position 2, circle in position 3, but now here is where the rule comes to play. Now number 4, it's up to but not including, so it's going to cut right here. It's not going to include triangle and square. So let's hit enter, and you see that's exactly the result. Now in reverse, we can find the remaining items on the list, let's say from index 2. How would we do that? So we can do mix, then start at index 2, colon, to the end of the list. So let's think about what this is going to do. So it's going to start from index 2. Let's look at it here. So 0, 1, 2. From purple to the rest of the list. It's going to print out all those items. Like so. Now, as with strings, there are specific methods for lists. So let's look at a couple of them briefly. So if you want to add a new item at the end of the list, you can use the append method. So let's include another item at the end of the list. So we can do mix, append, and then hexagon, for example, another shape. All right, so now if we pull that list, you can see that it has been added at the end here. Another method we can use is called the reverse function, which, as the name implies, reverses the order of the list. So let's see how that works. So we can do mix, reverse. And now if we pull the list again, we see that the order has been reversed. Actually, before we finish the video, let me add one more element to that list to prove that you can actually have different data types inside a list. Because right now I've only included strings in this list. So let's call the append function one more time and we'll add a number in there. So let's say mix, append, and 42, which is the answer to the universe. Let me know in the comments if you understand that reference. And one more time, let's pull that list. So now you see that 42 was added here. There are many more methods available for lists, but I just wanted to introduce a couple of simple ones to begin with. If you want to find out more, you can look up Python list methods. We might also discuss them more in future videos. But that's it for this video. Hopefully this video has been helpful to you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.